In this bonus episode, we're polishing the gameplay loop based on subscriber requests. We're adding a dynamic UI prompt and a win condition. Welcome back to Godot Dev Checkpoint. User Innocent Isadaria, hopefully I'm saying that right, asked how to show object names when you look at them, and how to create a win condition. Since we're using the duck typing in our interaction system, adding this is actually pretty straightforward. So let's get started. Since we are not using a shared parent class, we just need to add a prompt message variable to every object we want to interact with. This is the text that will show up on the screen. Now back in our project here, I'm going to go into the door script. I'm going to add an export variable to the top here. Make this bigger. We'll just enter down a couple times and make @export. The variable we're going to put in there is a prompt message. And for this door, the prompt message we want to have is open door. Simple as that. Then we're going to go into our hate script. Now we need an export variable on top here. Another prompt message. It's going to be collect hate. Just like that. Now we're going to go back in our player script. Control S to save all that stuff. Now our player script, make this smaller. Now we need a label to display the text. I'm going to make this smaller. I'm going to go to the 2D scene, our player scene. And then we're going to go to our camcorder UI. We'll go back to our 2D here. We can see our UI. Then we're going to add a label to our camcorder UI. Right click, add child node, label. Then I'll rename this to interaction label. Like that. We'll put it in the center. I'll anchor it, center. I'm going to use this move tool here. Bring it just above our pinpoint center so it's not blocking our aim dot here. Just so we can see what's happening here. The interaction label. So we can see it on the screen. Then we're in a horizontal alignment. We're going to set that to center. Now we have our interaction label is going to pop up right here whenever it needs to. Now we know what it looks like. I'm going to delete this text. There we go. Now we just need to update the player. We're already shooting a raycast every frame to check for interactions. Now we just need to ask the object, do you have a prompt message for me? Back in our project, let's save this player scene. Now we're going to go back to the script. The player script, make this bigger. Scroll to the top here. I need another already here. Oh, we'll make this smaller again. The already we need is, well, the interaction label. I'm going to click, hold, control, then drop this in here. Now that I have access to that interaction label, I'm going to go into my physics process, make this bigger, physics process function. Right after my movement logic, I'm going to go underneath here, underneath the move and slide. So the first thing I'm going to do is the UI prompt check. I want to check if there is a UI prompt check for me to even see. And for that, we need to use our interaction array that we're already having to see if we're able to interact with our array already. Now we have that, check if it's colliding. So then we can get whatever it's colliding with by using var collider equals interaction array get collider. Now that we know it is colliding, now that we have that collider, now this is part of the duck typing programming concept. Now, if you don't remember, it's a common in dynamic languages like Python. GDScript is similar, not the same, but it is like it. So duck typing applies. So it's suitable, it's determined by the behavior, methods, and properties, rather than explicit type of class or inheritance. Now, even though we're at classes, I do have a tutorial up about that, but we're not going to use that here yet. That would be refactoring, and we're not going to tackle that here. We're just going to add this prompt message in. So in the duck typing, here, and check if the collider has the variable, there we go, prompt message. That's all we're doing. And how we do that? We say if prompt message Helps if you spell it right too. So if I came across an error, if that's a race condition, basically is what it's called, and it's if it calls it too fast, the collider, it'll actually throw an error. And to avoid that, we need to say if this collider is valid, the instance of it, because if it's deleted with the queue free, and we try to get that collider, well, it's not going to work because it doesn't exist. And you say is instance valid, and we need to pass in the collider that we just grabbed. So it's going to check if this collider still exists. And if it does, then it'll check it for a prompt message. We don't want to check it if there's a point in between these two sections here that the colliders get deleted. It'll throw an error. Basically, if is instance valid, check the collider and prompt message. Make sure that's spelled right. And that's spelled exactly how it is. Prompt message in collider. So now if we know that this prompt message is in the collider that we grabbed here, go into this if statement, use the interaction label. I'm going to change the text to press E or whatever your interaction button is to close that quotation, concatenate the collider prompt message because we know it has one because we checked in our collider here. Perfect. If it doesn't, well, we're going to keep our interaction label blank equals nothing, just like that. Also, if our interaction array is colliding with nothing, do make our interaction label also blank. Dot text equals empty string. Go ahead and save that. And that's the prompt message, but now we need somewhere to go when we win. So let's make a quick and easy win screen. All right, back in our project, I'm going to close that a little bit. Then I'm going to create a new scene. So scene, new scene, user interface. This is going to be control. I'm going to change this name to win screen. There we go. Go to our 2D section so I can see what's happening. I'm going to save that in our scenes folder, call it win screen, save. Now that we have that, I'm going to add a color rect. Right click, add child node, colored rect, right there, create. And that's going to be, make that black. It's like that. I'm going to make this full rect in our anchor, full rect here. There we go. And then we're going to have a label. I'll make this a little more gray. There we go. Less obtuse. Then right click on our windscreen, add child node label. Here, this is just going to say, how about you escaped? Perfect. Well, whatever you want it to say. I'm going to horizontal alignment that to center. My anchor, I'm going to make that all the way across the top wide. Then I will come down to theme overrides, font sizes. I'll make it 100. There we go. There we go. Now we need a button. So we'll add a child node, a button. This button is going to be our quit button. Yep. It's going to quit the game. So after we have the quit button, we'll put in quit. Whoops. Put in quit over here. Then we'll center this in the middle, the anchor. We'll have that there. And to make this bigger, we can change the font size to say 32. There we go. Now we need a mini script on this quit button just to make it easy. So I'm going to right click, attach script. It's just going to be save it in our scripts folder. Go up on the path, go into our scripts folder. That would be our quit game script. Open and create. I'll delete this boilerplate. Definitely don't need that. Then our quit button here, go to our node, signals, and connect the pressed signal. Connect. And then this signal here. Well, we just want to quit the game. How do we do that? We just get the seed tree. So get tree and quit. Super easy. Then light that up a little bit. Save that script. Now that we have the win screen, we need the win condition. We're going to use a counter. So whenever it hits the certain number of tapes we want to collect to win, then you win. I'm just going to use 1. So you can change this number to whatever you like. Just make sure you have enough tapes that the player can collect to win the game. So I'm going to put it to 1. So when the player collects that 1 tape, we're going to automatically switch to the win screen. All right, back in here, I'm going to save this quick game script. Go back to our player script. I'll make this bigger, scroll up here, the top, then add a couple variables. I have a variable here. It's going to be variable tapes collected. They're all clearly going to start that as 0. Then we're going to have another const. The const is going to be const tapes to win. This is where you can set it to whatever you like. Just gotta make sure you have enough tapes in the level for the player. Const tapes to win is going to be equal to 1. All right. Then scroll down to the bottom of the script. Underneath this head bob, enter down a couple times. We need a couple more functions. So we need a collect tape function, collect tape. And this is going to have, when it gets called, tapes collected. It's going to add 1. So when you collect that tape, it's going to add 1 to the tapes collected. And then we'll do a little output on the output window for now. We'll say tapes, concatenate the string, tapes collected. They'll add that to the tapes to win, which uses a slash there, plus string tapes to win. There we go. Now print in the output window. Then we need to check for the win. Check for win. And we do that, say if tapes collected is greater than or equal to tapes to win. And then we're just going to call a function we're going to write in a second called win game. Perfect. Enter down a couple times, write the function win game. All right. So we need to make the mouse invisible first. Input dot mouse mode. Mouse mode, there it is. Equals input mouse mode visible. So we need to see our mouse again. So we can click that quit button in our menu. We're going to pop up on our win screen. So, and then when we make our mouse visible, well, we need to change the scene when we win the game. So we just get the tree, and then change scene to file is how we use that. Change scene to file. And then we need to go set the path to the win screen that we created. So in these quotations, it should pop up with an autocomplete. We want to use win screen right here. Double click that. That way you know your path is correct. Great, go ahead and save that. Then we need to go to our tape. We just need to call this, say, hey, we collected the tape, we need to add. So in our tape section, in our interact, all of a sudden just picking up, say, picked up tape. You still play a sound here if you did that already. Instead of saying print picked up tape, what we're going to do is find the player and update the count. Okay? You remember to make sure your player is in the group player for this. Like the smaller. And our player scene, scroll up, player. We did this earlier. Let's double check. This little square box with circle in it. That's how we know that our player is in the global groups player. That's how we're going to find out if it is the player. Go back in our tape script. What we're going to use now is store the player in a player variable. We're going to do that by saying get the tree. And then we're going to say get first node in group. We only have one player. We use that group called player. Now we have our player. What we need to do is call the collect tape function that we just wrote. So if player, if it found the player, and we call this interact function, we're going to call our player script, we're going to call this collect tape function. If player dot collect tape. There we go. Now I need to hide the tape so it looks like it's picked up immediately. So say if you want to play a sound and you want to wait for that sound to finish, the tape still disappears even before the sound is finished. But then we can wait to delete it after the sound is finished. We're not going to do that here. That's just something you can do. This is how you say the visual tape to hide it. You say visible equals false. Then it'll disappear right when you click on it. Then after here is where you'd play the sound. And then you would delete the object. I do encourage you to explore away from the tutorial and add your own stuff. That's really how we learn the most. Great, now we have that. Go save that tape and are ready to test. I'll make this our world 3D video here as we're just going to play. And then when I'm on my world scene, I want to make this my main scene to start with so I can use this play button. I'm going to select this current. If you ever want to change this, let's say I cancel that now. Project settings, run. Now your main scene here is where your scene's going to initially start. So you have to have one of these when you export. Then click on this path here. You set whatever scene you want. And we're going to use the world scene opened. That's now going to be our main scene. Now just to see, I put another tape here in the room that we start. Here. I get this tape here. Duplicate that, Control D. Use this move tool, but bring this tape over here. Put it in the room that we started. Then I'll play again. Now we have this tape here. Since it's only one, E to collect tape. I collect that. E to open door. But once I collect it, I will win. Just like that. Then I'll quit. That quits the game. And there it is, a complete game loop. You have a start, a struggle, and then the ending. Huge thanks to our commenters for suggesting this addition. Now, if you have more questions, drop them below. Who knows, maybe we'll make a video 7. Now, if you found this helpful at all, or fun, leave a comment on what your Godot game dev goals are. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It really helps out the channel. And thank you to our current and past Patreon and Coffee members. Your generous support keeps the channel moving. If you want early access to tutorials, source code, or suggesting future tutorials, please consider becoming a member yourself. The links are in the description. I'm Spaghetti Syntax, and remember, always stay curious, and I'll see you at the next checkpoint.